if I'm getting someone that's like, let's say 2 years, like seriously 2 years away from a show, like, okay, I need to get this person to that point in 2 years' time. Depending on where they're at with tracking. Like in my mind, like if this person knows how to track really well, they've done it, let's say they've done it for a few years, then I'm not going to assign like perfect macros to this person. And I might be, hey, most times people like before the application, they'll fill out and they'll put like, this is what I was doing. Then you talk to them on the call, like, well, before the call, I decided to do this and that and this. So I'm like, okay, let's actually track. Let's actually have some accountability here. So whether that's going to be just, okay, let's track calories. Most of the time, I'm like having them track calories and protein. So I know at least they're ensuring they're getting enough protein to support what we're trying to do, and that's build muscle. So I'm like, okay, let me find out baseline. So a couple of weeks they'll do that. Then more or less, I'm going to know what their weight is doing. Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it staying the same? Then based off of that, then I know, okay, what direction to go in. Whether, hey, I need to increase this person's calories, or hey, let's drop it down or keep it the same because, hey, we guessed right from the get-go. But setting these things up, but yeah, I do use some of the numbers like that you mentioned, Andrew. I'm like, okay, I need to make sure this person's eating enough protein. So that's one thing that I'm like really kind of more finite about. Like, okay, let me make sure like roughly a gram per pound of body weight. If they're heavier, like there's a lot of body fat, then I'm not going to use a gram per pound. I might use a little less than that because I'm thinking lean body mass. And also taking into consideration the person, like the question I ask everybody in the first Skype call is like, do you like protein? Do you like to ingest it? When you do, can you digest it well? Do you have any discomfort, anything like that? So if this person's like, yeah, I just don't really care to eat protein, or it's hard for me to get them, I'm not going to force a bunch of protein down their throat. I'm like, okay, what do you think you can do? So can you get 4 protein feedings in per day? Can you get 3? Is it 2? So it's more about, okay, what can this person do as far as like what's practical for their lifestyle. Sometimes you have to push people to get out of their comfort zone in order to see some change, but most of the time I don't want to cause too much stress from the get-go. I want to try to make the process as enjoyable as possible. So that way the adherence is good. So even though, let's say it's not super optimal on paper, it's probably going to be optimal because they're adhering to it at least. So we can always work on that down the road. Hey, I can probably slowly but surely get this person to maybe set at 2 protein feedings. Now they're doing 3. Or, hey, now we're up to 4. Hey, great job. And now we're able to, do more things that way. But more or less, I'm like thinking like, okay, if I want to set it, like if I'm having to gain weight, okay, let's gain X amount in a certain amount of time. So it's a 2 or 3 month timeline I might set up. And I'm just basically setting up initial guidelines that we start up based off of a little bit of science, but also what this person, their lifestyle, what they think they can adhere to. And then we kind of go from there. And then we start collecting data. Collect the weigh-ins and then see where their calories are at and go from there.